Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Still TME. It's good to be getting back with you on this beautiful, gorgeous May morning. Today is May 20th. It's a Wednesday, smack dab in the middle of the work week. It's hump day, everybody. Happy hump day. I am currently in Locust Grove. I'm headed over to Fayetteville to my first property to go check out this morning. And I wanted to make another update video, or just I can't really classify this as an update video at this point. This is actually my format of making videos now. There are a couple different types of videos that I've worked on creating since I've gotten out of a truck, which, by the way, in July, so literally a little over a month away from now, it'll be a year since I got out of a truck. Haven't driven in that long. But since then, I've kind of just created these long style videos where I'm sitting, I'm talking. I'm trying to add a new dynamic to it, and that would be using my GoPro to give you guys a more interesting view than just looking at my mug the whole time while I'm talking. But I do have a, believe it or not, pretty busy life. I do usually have things going on. And if I don't have things going on, then, after being married for, 13 years, going on 14 years now, believe me, if it's not on my agenda, it's on my wife's agenda. And if it's on her agenda, then it automatically is on my agenda. So I'm pretty busy, and I do have things that come up. I do have interesting dynamics that happen in my life from day to day. And for those of you that have stuck around for the past, it's been 3 years. I think next month it'll be 3 years since I actually started Truck Me Eccentrically. And so if there's anybody that's still around, that has been around from the beginning, I just want to say thank you. And I'm really just making this update sort of video for you so that we can keep in touch and you can kind of keep track of what happens in my life. There are some things that I've got going on in the background still that I've mentioned previously. I am still working on that book that I've talked so much about. It's also just an interesting time of year. This is actually my favorite month out of the year, and it's tied with November. And the reason why is because, for me, these are the most memorable months, and there's something about the space of time within these months. It's not long. It has a very short brevity to it, and it's like you blink and it's gone. But they're polar opposites from each other, because in the case of November, it's like that's the peak of autumn, so that's memorable in your mind. It's a transitional period where things kind of flip as far as, the way that your sensory input perceives nature and time itself. And May is very similar, but it's similar in an opposite way. So like nature is stirring, it's already woken up for the most part, and the reality of the fact that we're about to face summer and the harshness of summer in a very real way, it happens in May. There's a lot of violent storms in May, and depending on what part of the country you're in, you might encounter those on different levels of intensity, I should say. I've got memories of driving a truck, being over the road back during the time of COVID, and actually remembering driving around in the Midwest, Chicago, Wisconsin, those areas back in May, and actually having to outrun some tornadoes, interestingly enough. I've got a lot of memories of this month, and there's just something cool in the way that it stands out in May and November, I'd say. That it's like you know that you like these times of year, but it doesn't truly sink in until you get to this space. And like I said, it's very short-lived. So you just have to enjoy it while it's here. So that's another reason why I wanted to make one of these long style talking videos for the month of May. And just say, even to myself, hey Jared, remember this day, remember this short period of time, especially when you're in August or you're in January, and those are my least favorite months of the year. Especially when I'm inhabiting those time periods, that particular part of the year when things seem like they're never going to end, like the harshness, the weather, all that stuff. Which, I encountered that probably to the peak of itself whenever I did flatbed. I did flatbed during January and during August, and so I encountered and experienced the intensity of both of those months. And there is something about that time of year where it does seem like you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it seems like it's going to be hot as hell perpetually. Or there's something about the dead of winter in January that's kind of depressing, it's kind of gray, and so you feel like you're just sitting in that, you're just waiting for it to come to an end. Sometimes it feels like it's not going to end. I remember dealing with that, as a flatbed driver. And in that case, it was extremely intense because obviously you're working outside in the elements and you're experiencing all of that discomfort from the weather and all that stuff. So, yeah. What's my point in talking about all this? Well, just to emphasize even more so how much I appreciate May, this time of year, and to expose or reveal that there are elements to what I'm talking about that I'm including in the book that I'm writing. There's something, ultimately, I think the meta narrative, the meta message underneath it would be, there's something about the year itself, the calendar, the 365 plus the whole leap year math equation. There's something about it where it seems circular and almost like a mobile, and it's moving around a centrifugal source. And overall, I think there's something about the fourth dimension of time that reflects that. And what I mean is, there's something about each day of the year that seems familiar in itself, and on certain days like the solstice or the equinoxes or anything like that, certain aspects align. And when you feel those familiar essences of time from that particular day and they line up throughout the years, and you start to have this like familiar feeling like deja vu or something like that. It's a special feeling. It makes you feel alive. It's memorable. It's nostalgic. It's all those good things that we really appreciate as humans. And I just wanted to put it in my book for the sake of making light of it. There's something about light itself throughout the year. When I say that, I mean like photosynthesis, light itself, literal light, and the way that we perceive it with our sight, that kind of creates a pattern throughout our lives in one way or another. That's one big thing that I've got in my story that I'm writing about. It's a subtle aspect that is recognizable to everybody, but not everybody takes that recognition and tries to capture it or define it or ask themselves, what does this mean to me? I might feel this on one level or another. There might be connections inside of my mind that coalesce or respond to these familiar patterns, but am I really taking note of it? One thing that I noticed about meditation is that it really amplifies things like that. And I hope you guys are tracking with what I'm talking about. I just want to say that and kind of leave that there and move on to the next thing. Like, another thing that I'm really excited for is my kids. Like, they've only got a couple days left of school, and so they're really excited. I'm really proud of my son, which actually, if you guys didn't realize, I've got two sons. One is actually he just graduated 11th grade, so he's going to be a senior next year. He's going to be 18 in October. I know, like, what the hell, I'm getting old. He recently got his driver's license at the beginning of this year, so he's driving now. He's doing really well for himself. I haven't talked about what he's got going on very much, but he is really big into film and directing and stuff like that, and he creates short films. He's got his own YouTube channel. He does live performances. The county that he lives in, he doesn't live in the house with my wife and my kids. He lives with his mom, but he does live performances, acting. He's actually created his own playwright stuff that he's performed at shows for the high school that he goes to. So I'm really proud of him. He's doing well. And then my middle child, my other son, he just finished 6th grade. He went into the school year like struggling with his grades, and well, he's finishing this year on AB honor roll, and he's actually he qualified for a young scholars class that he'll be taking in 7th grade next year. And guys, I know you got to remember, no matter how old you are, I know you got to remember in one way or another how awkward and how strange something like middle school is. Like, I remember middle school. I remember how much I struggled with everything. Like, kids are not the most friendly people at that age. They're really not. And he struggled with that a lot this year, which, like I said, is in turn caused him to struggle in his grades and everything. But he's finishing the school year at a really good place, and he really turned his whole year around. And literally at the beginning of the school year, they were talking about, possibly holding him back before the end of the first semester. That's what they were talking about. But he's literally just turned it all around. And another thing about him is that he's very artistic. He's got that knack that I had at that age, where he loves to draw. And the cool thing about it is that he's got his own personal style, his own influences that contribute to the way that he draws. And well, he's got some really awesome art that I'm proud of. Now, in turn, my youngest, my daughter, She will be 8 in July, and a lot like my oldest son, she's really into theater and live performance and stuff like that. She's had a couple of shows over the past year that she's been a part of in the county that we live in, which she's done really, really good, and she's really flourishing with that kind of stuff. She's really into dance and all that. I'm happy that I'm actually talking about my family in this video, and I'm not just talking about myself. It feels good. My wife, she's doing pretty good, but like I told you guys in the past, she's a supervisor for a company that manages hospices throughout the state of Georgia. I would say like north central Georgia. They've got so many facilities, so many members of staff like CNAs and stuff like that, LPNs, RNs. My wife, she doesn't actually have an RN license. She's got her LPN, but she's a supervisor, so she doesn't technically do any nursing herself unless she's out there in the field with the CNAs, which she supervises a lot of them. And well, she's in middle management, so she's in that kind of awkward position where she's dealing with upper echelon, higher ups in the company, and she's dealing with the people on the front line, all the CNAs that bust their asses with what they do. And with something like hospice, like, you have to really have a passion for it or you're going to be miserable. And so she has to deal with a lot of people that are miserable all the time. They're always calling out, they're always giving her hell, and she becomes the punching bag. But the position of middle management that has to deal with the frontline people, all the nurses, and then the higher ups, and everything has to move through her, filter through her, funnel through her, and so it's taxing on her psychologically. I can see that absolutely, where that would be extremely rough. But she does an extremely good job at what she does. And she's already gotten like promotions and stuff since she started. And so my family overall, they're all doing really, really good. I told you guys beforehand when I had plans to go to Okefenokee Swamp and check out the night sky, which was an incredible experience for my whole family. I would recommend it to anybody. Go check out Stephen C. Foster State Park in the Okefenokee Swamp, and just hope that, you know, that place stays as pristine and unmolested by industry as it possibly can be. It's also vulnerable to wildfire. There's been a lot of wildfires down there in that area, specifically this season, because we're in a drought right now. And so they've had a lot of acreage burn around the Okefenokee Swamp, which is unfortunate. But, you know, a climate like that, an environment like that, I think it's designed for regeneration of land. They do a lot of prescribed burning out there, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like anywhere else, a big wildfire is devastating, even to a swamp, a place like that. That's all about regeneration. I'm saying some random stuff now, but my point is, I'm going to let you guys know that we've got other plans in October this year. Now, I know I briefly mentioned this last year, but I actually went on a week-long vacation. First vacation I had been on in a few years, a couple of years. Actually, first vacation I went on post SAP. So after I got fired in 2023 for failing the drug test, we had already paid for a vacation, and I went down to Orange Beach in Alabama, better known as the Redneck Riviera. Got to go check out Fort Morgan and had a really awesome experience. And that was after I stopped working, so it was awkward. I actually got fired and then I went on vacation, which I don't recommend doing unless you're trying to rack up debt. But we had already paid for it, so we went anyway. And that had been the last time, so it was actually a couple of years, a little over 2 years since I'd been on vacation. And after I started this job last year, we had already planned on going back on vacation last October, and we did. We went to Orlando and checked out Universal Studios. They have like 4 or 5 parks. We checked out 3 of them, which was awesome. I'd never been to Universal Studios. It was a cool experience. But we're doing something similar this year as far as the vacation and the time period goes. No, we're not going back to Florida, but we are going to go to Arizona for a week in October. My wife actually paid for our plane tickets yesterday, which I got a pretty good deal. It was about $1,400 for 4 round trip tickets from Hartsfield International in Atlanta to she didn't say if there was any layovers or not, but Scottsdale, or we're actually going to Sedona, where we're staying at. It's a Holiday Inn resort, and it's near Sedona. So pretty sure there's a park out there. It's called Cathedral Rock or something like that. And then obviously we're going to go to the Grand Canyon and go check all that stuff out. I'm hoping that I'll be able to see the stars even better out there in the desert than I could at the Okefenokee Swamp. I'm going to try to film some of that and put it on my main channel, just like I did when we went to Okefenokee in March. So that's another thing that we've got planned coming up, as long as I survive this summer. And I'm excited about it, guys. If you checked out my Okefenokee video, I really appreciate it. And so that leaves me with about 3 other things that I want to mention before I end this video. I'm trying to keep my thoughts organized and keep from rambling. First of all, I'll quickly talk about, getting back on the subject of the format of the types of videos that I'm making now. Now that I'm no longer driving a truck, I have some ideas that I want to try that may or may not work, okay? So lately, you may have noticed that I made a couple of videos. They're shorter. It's still me talking, but I've made shorter videos in where the things I'm saying are absolutely curated, which actually it makes it easier for you guys to follow, I think, and understand what the hell I'm talking about. Because sometimes I can talk about some pretty intense or complex subjects that not everybody, it's not that people aren't interested in the things that I'm talking about. It's just that because I don't have that specific niche on my channel, the people that actually find the subject matter that I'm speaking of interesting are fewer and further between. I'll give you an example. The running videos, especially the last one that I made. Well, there's a reason why I made that video. It's very specific, and it's not going to stand out for my general audience. Most people that have watched me prior to this point don't care about Deftones. They don't care about nu metal. They probably don't care very much about cardio or running or the neurological science behind how music affects your nervous system and actually can sustain your physical capability to do prolonged cardio. That video that I've just recently put out, it didn't do well. And I didn't really expect it to do well, but I still wanted to make it nonetheless for a few reasons. I think number one is because, you know, at running 7 miles without ceasing at a time, I think I've kind of reached my peak performance. And there's a lot of stuff that I could say about this, but I'm not going to talk about it in this video. So for that reason, I wanted to specifically document and make record of a session, a workout session of me running 7 miles. Because, well, the average person that I tell and I talk to and I tell them, you know, I run about 2 10Ks a week. They look at me like I'm a freaking alien, or I'm a freaking pathological liar, that I'm full of shit, that I'm not really running that far, that I'm exaggerating. And I'm like, no, I really do, you know, and it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time for me to work myself up to this point. And so it was just important for me that I documented that. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, you're just bragging, you're trying to bring attention to yourself from your physical exertion, you're trying to make yourself look like you're better than other people that don't exercise. And I'm not trying to do any of that. Again, I'm trying to motivate, and I'm trying to show you guys or explain to you from a different angle what's actually enabling me to do these things. First of all, it has a lot to do with consistency. That's the most important thing. If I wasn't consistent on running over the past 9+ months, I wouldn't be able to run 7 miles at a time without stopping. So that's the number one thing. Number two, gear. The stuff that you have, like I've invested in extremely high-end running shoes, which makes a huge difference. I like the Brooks running shoes. I like the On Clouds. I've had both. But primarily, I would say that the biggest thing that stood out to me about cardio in general, and being able to just inhabit those spaces where I'm exerting myself physically over a long span of time, the biggest impact that I've had as far as a nervous system standpoint goes is the music that I listen to. And yes, it was messed up, and it was not right for me to have all that copyrighted music in my video, but at the same time, I just wanted to show you guys how it affects me. And I wanted to basically break it down in a way that some people could follow along with, because when it comes down to it, yes, something like ChatGPT is actually a very useful tool for explaining how the point that I'm trying to make comes across. And I think it has the best ability to explain it and break it down in a digestible and understanding way for most people to understand. Because I have issues with rambling, and I didn't want to do that in that particular video. And so there you have it. That's one thing that I've done as far as making videos. Another format is what I'm doing right here, which is, you know, the long form of talking. I haven't published one of these videos in a very long time. But I also have that shorter style that I mentioned before, the curated stuff. And believe it or not, when I make a shorter video with me talking, the way that I was able to do that is I actually took one of these clips, like what I'm making right now, and I ran it through a transcription, and then I posted it to ChatGPT, which then in turn condenses it and curates it so that it makes the point that I'm trying to get across without over explaining or going too far into depth with the details. And I think it's made a big impact because people are hearing what I actually want to say, and I'm getting to the point a lot faster whenever I curate one of those videos. Now, those are the 3 types of videos that I've made over the past nearly a year, like I said. And in fact, I was still making videos like this one a year ago whenever I was still working at JB Hunt doing the intermodal truck driving. I would sit there in the rail yard waiting for them to drop my container down on my chassis, which would take a long time, and I would use those spaces of time to make videos like this. Now, what my question is do you guys like these types of videos when I'm sitting down talking to you in an organic way? Or do you prefer the curated ChatGPT types of videos where I get to the point a lot faster? And I'm not saying everything that I want to say necessarily, but I am getting my point across with far fewer words. Which do you prefer? And whichever you prefer as my audience, I'll stick to that format from now on. So guys, let me know which one you prefer. And even if you don't give me an answer per se, then maybe I'll try to do both. Maybe I'll take the raw video like this one right here, I'll post it to the channel, and then I'll take all the transcript from it and I'll make a shorter YouTube video out of the curated version that ChatGPT comes up with. Just let me know. I'm doing this because your opinion matters to me, especially if you've been around since the beginning of my channel. Again, I'm trying to add another dynamic to it with my GoPro and showing you guys a different view. So it's not just you staring at me the whole time. Okay. The last thing I'll say about all this is there is something that's kind of special, depending on how you look at it, I guess, about the way that I have kept this channel alive, or actually, you know, I wouldn't, maybe the best way to put it is I've gone out of my way to make sure that this YouTube channel still exists. It still has a pulse. It might not be showing much vitality or many signs of life at this point because I might make a video once or twice a month. Hell, I didn't even make a video last month in April. I skipped over the whole month without making one video. It kind of feels different or strange or odd or maybe even fascinating to some people in one way or another, because this is like the version of me post truck driving. So you guys got to see so much over the span of a couple of years of me being a truck driver. And before that, like I've said many times in the past, I had a 7-year-long YouTube channel of me doing all kinds of truck driving. And I documented myself from the first couple of times that I actually went out on the road as an OTR driver, up to the point that I had been established in the industry for nearly 7 years. And I deleted that whole channel, but I went through all kinds of stuff. I had so much content on that channel. I still have those videos in my possession, but they're on a hard drive that failed. And from doing research, it cost a substantial amount of money to get a failed hard drive repaired to where you can actually start to even attempt to salvage anything that's left on the hard drive itself. So I'd be investing well over $1,000 just to even try to recover any of that stuff. But I do still have it in my possession. And at some point I might want to do that and even make a video about it. I think it'd be interesting, like picking up an old hard drive and paying professionals to try to recover it, restore it, and getting all those videos back. and kind of going through them on the channel. I think that would be an awesome video. That's a wonderful idea. But until I have that kind of money to invest on getting this hard drive recovered, it is what it is. But yes, again, I'm rambling. My point is that everything I've captured since last July, so again, nearly a year, has been kind of special, kind of interesting in that I'm still making these videos, but I'm no longer driving a truck. I still have the name of the YouTube channel. And it still pertains to truck driving. But I'm no longer driving a truck, so there's something kind of interesting in that. It's that statement itself, or that fact itself, and it feels kind of, I don't know, liminal in one way or another, in that the channel's still here, I'm still here, the only thing missing is the truck, right? But I'm still occupying this space. And that thought has led me to another idea in itself. And if I can do this, if I can pull it off, I've got a GoPro. You know, I filmed a lot of action shots with me doing flatbedding a couple of years ago whenever I had that job. I'm thinking that what I might be able to do is give you one of those a day in the life kind of videos of a field operations specialist. So what I'm doing right now, if I could show you firsthand what a typical day looks like in my position that I have right now. Again, not related to truck driving at all, but it's still a profession, and I actually enjoy my job. And I enjoy this job immensely. I enjoy it far more than I ever enjoyed truck driving. Yes, I could sit here and talk for another hour describing to you what I liked about truck driving versus everything that I didn't like about truck driving. It's the same thing with this. But guys, I can tell you, after doing truck driving for as long as I did it, 9 years, I can tell you that I like this job more than I ever liked truck driving. I really do like this job, you guys. After doing it for almost a year, yes, there are things about this job that get under my skin. It drives me crazy. But I don't ever dread Monday morning. I don't dread getting up in the morning, going to work. I don't dread it. There are things that go into it that piss me off. I don't like having to drive across Atlanta on the days when I'm having to do that to get to my first stop. But once I get that over with, it's usually okay. They do put a lot of pressure on me for performance. They do push me extremely hard, and I'm okay with that, guys. I'm a runner. I work out. You know, I'm already pushing myself as hard as I can. That's another thing I wanted to say about all the cardio stuff and pushing myself in those running videos. I'm not going to segue back to that, but yes, that's literally what I'm doing. I'm no longer using addictive substances. I'm no longer using nicotine every day. So I'm literally finding a good, healthy alternative to become addicted to. Guys, I'm addicted to pushing my body. I want to know how hard I can push myself as a 41-year-old. That stuff's important to me. I could make another video about all the fitness stuff and break things down to you, just things that I've learned about it overall since I started doing it last year. And I find it very fascinating. Some of you might not find it so fascinating, but nonetheless, my point is, I want to possibly give you a video that covers over a day in the life. And what I might do is I might film for a week straight and create a compilation of the most interesting things that I encounter on my job throughout that week. That way you guys can get a really good idea about what I actually do, what it comes down to. Now, it's going to be important that the video doesn't hold me up. It's going to be important that I'm not spending company time, time that I'm spending on the clock toward technicalities on making a video, so I can't waste time, work time, focusing on a video. It's just going to have to be a point, click, go, shoot with the camera on my head kind of thing, where it doesn't hold me up. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm essentially making my way to my first property. I'm filming myself, but it's not becoming an issue where the technical aspect of filming video is holding me up from doing my job. I'm doing both simultaneously. As long as I can keep that flow smooth and I'm not sharing sensitive information in the video, I think I can get away with doing that. And I think some of you, even some of you truck drivers, are slightly interested about my job and what it entails. If that weren't the case, I don't think you'd still be around. Now that video I made last year entitled Why I Would Walk Away from This Industry Right Now, that video got a lot of views and it got a lot of positive feedback. And it's because I was 100% honest about the trucking industry in that video. And a lot of people, I think, maybe some of them were sore or sad to see me go, but at the same time, those same people were slightly interested in what changes would be taking place over the course of my life after I switched industries. And I've never got to properly show you guys myself working at this point. It just hasn't happened. So what I would like to do is share that with you. Because my job, believe it or not, there are points that I come across where things get extremely interesting. The coolest part about my job, besides, working, typically I only work 8 hours a day. Like I said before, I've got hella good benefits. I got really good PTO. Especially now that I'm coming up on my first year, all that stuff is going to increase. My PTO is going to start accruing at a faster rate, and I've got a 401k set up now, guys. I didn't even talk to you about that. For the first time in my life, I'm actually got a 401k going, which I'm proud of myself for setting up. I've got great health insurance now. I mean, I've really got it made. It's not 100% perfection. It's not everything that I hoped it would be, but it's close enough that I can say, okay, I'm pretty satisfied with what I'm doing now, and I can do this for an extended period of time without any issues, and I'm okay with that. But yes, I would like to share that with you guys when the time is right, when I'm able to do that. I'm not going to make any huge promises or commitments right away, but I will start thinking about how I'm going to put it together. And again, I might use ChatGPT to help make the video itself more interesting. It might be something that I create as a 1-year anniversary at the job and just show you everything that I've learned over the past year doing this job. Now, they really appreciate me. They really like me. They think I'm doing a great job. The guy that they hired 2 people when I got hired. They hired me, they hired another guy on the same day that they hired me. We did the orientation together. We did the whole training process together. They just terminated him. They just let him go. So he's no longer with the company. And he was actually creating some issues. for everybody. They just let him go. I'm not trying to compare myself with him, but I am saying that, I don't think they have any regret for hiring me. If there's any consolation in that, I think they're happy that they found me. Again, it was actually my brother-in-law that got me in the door. I was able to list him as a reference on my application. He's a supervisor for this company, and he's helped me out a lot. There's a lot that I can say about my job, but I'm not going to say it in this video. I'll move on. But I just want to say, be looking forward to that. The last thing that I want to mention before I let you guys go quickly, and I'm not going to talk long about it, is my book, in case you were curious to know where I stand with that. I've actually, I'll be honest with you, I haven't been working on it a lot recently. I've got these spans of time, and again, going back to, having a lot of stuff on my agenda, a lot of things, responsibilities, and the fact that we've reached the end of the year. I'm going to graduations right now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. A lot of planning, the vacation that we're going on, a lot of work that I'm doing around my house. I just haven't had a lot of time to work on my book. But I have made a lot of progress since that last video that I made over the winter this year. I was talking about a second pass in that video on the first half of the book, which I made. I did do some consolidating and some condensing in the chapters themselves. There's actually going to be a third pass, but I'm going to hold off on doing that until I finish the book. Right now I'm at 57 chapters. Currently trying to work on the next chapter, but I've made a lot of progress, and I'm back in raw story building mode right now. And again, I use ChatGPT to help me write this book. I still want to stand on the statement that I made in that video about the book and say that it's my goal to get it done this year. If that doesn't happen, then it's not going to be the end of the world. But I at least want to get the story itself finished this year. From that point, I might have to go back on myself and make other modifications to it, corrections, editing, what have you. But yes, guys, I'm still completely gung-ho about this book. I'm still keeping it as a passion that's close to my heart and something that I'm not going to walk away from. It's important to me. It matters a lot. So just be looking forward to me creating more updates about the book onto the channel. That stuff will come in time. But until then, I just want to say thanks for checking my channel out. Thanks for coming back. If you guys didn't appreciate or didn't enjoy the last video that I made, again, I apologize. But I did that more for myself than anybody else. Unless you just so happen to understand the angle that I was trying to approach and show you guys a little bit of neuroscience in my own specific way, while including a lot of copyrighted music, which I shouldn't have done, but did anyway, because I wanted to be very specific about the music that I'll listen to while I do my cardio. So anyway, I'll catch you guys around. I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you guys for rating and commenting whenever you do, and I'll keep in touch. All right. Later. Alright guys, so technically I've already finished this video, but this is kind of like a PS. If it were a letter, this would be the PS section. Post signature section. I guess that's what PS stands for. Hell, I don't know. But I was on my way to that house in Fayetteville that I told you guys about this morning. I arrived, and Well, I should have had the camera going for this particular instance. This was extremely circumstantial, out of the ordinary. Doesn't typically happen on a daily basis, but it does happen from time to time, and when it does, it's kind of a big deal. So I get to this house. I realize once I start looking at the notes on the house that I haven't been to this house since the beginning of April. We're approaching the end of May, so we're coming up on 2 months now since I've been to this house. It's still on the market. It's still vacant. They're sending me here to do a walk to make sure that everything is good with the house. Now, I look at the notes and I see that the last person at this house is the guy that was hired same day that I was hired. And I mentioned to you guys that he got terminated last week. Well, I go up in the house and put 2 and 2 together. It doesn't take me long before I realize that the oven is missing from the kitchen. So somebody got into the house, they took the oven, and once I started looking around a little bit more, I figured out how they got into the house. So apparently they broke into one of our lock boxes and stole some keys and got into the house like that. And so whenever I come across something like that, I have to reach out to my management, and then I have to right after that call 911, mention it as a non-emergency, report what happened, wait for officers to come out to the house. They'll file a police report, which I use the information in the police report to file an incident report. And the company has insurance for stuff like this. Well, I proceed to do all of that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to be a big deal. I'm just going to, report my findings and everything that I experienced to the cops and be on my way and show up to the next house. Well, lo and behold, I've never filed a police report in Fayette County before, and it's a bit of a big deal whenever you do that. It's a bit different whenever you file a police report in Fayette County. And the way that they handle things in Fayette County is a bit different than the way that I've experienced prior to this. Because, at the beginning of this year, we did have a recurring circumstance at certain properties, I would say in Cobb County and Douglas County, Douglasville, Austell, Mapleton, those types of cities, where somebody had recurrently broken into houses and stolen refrigerators and stuff like that out of the houses. This does not circle back around. Okay, I gotta turn around. And, well, I have filed police reports in those counties, Cobb County, Douglas County, before. And normally what happens is an officer will come out, take my information, take my statement, and be like, okay, well, we'll keep in touch. Here's the police report number. If you need my number, you need to contact me. Here you go. Yada, yada. And then that's it. And it usually takes about 10 minutes, if that, to get all that stuff done. And I figured that's what was going to happen today, but it turns out that no, when you file a police report in Fayette County like that, the city of Fayetteville, they take that stuff really, really seriously. And they not only sent an officer out to this house, they sent a few officers out to this house. Then they sent a damn detective, and then they sent their own CSI specialist to come and dust for fingerprints. I was like, oh my God. Whoa. It was a big deal. They had their police tape stretched out. and everything else as well. And they wouldn't let me leave until the detective questioned me and they got their pictures. And by the way, my company, we have our own CSI team that comes out and investigates stuff. So I got held up at my first house. The weird thing is, they were questioning me, like asking all these questions. The detective, he had me on my toes, guys. He had me on my toes. And I'm used to talking to the police. Every now and then I have to talk to the police. I have to file a police report to do this or do that. Anytime there's a crime, there's anything missing or anything like that, I have to talk to the police. But this time it was a bit more of a big deal because he kept going and asking questions, and I was just trying to, okay, like, we have motion sensors in the houses. I might be able to pull up this log for you that'll show you when there was activity going on inside the house. We've got these, every time somebody comes out to look at one of these houses, we have it listed as a job. In our database, it's a job number. It comes up, it shows us, this person was here at this date, this time. And he was like, seriously, he got me going there, like just going through all this stuff, investigating and shit. And I'm like, dude, this is like above my pay level. Like, I'm here to clean the toilets. I'm here to make sure the windows are locked. But no, it just one of those circumstances where they wouldn't let me leave. They had to get the guy's number, the previous employee. They wanted his number as soon as, because that was the first thing they asked me. Who has been to this property? Do you have a record of that? Who was here before you? And so I had to be honest with them and tell them. And then that's when they started asking for his information. I was like, oh my God, you're just going to pull me into this and make me feel like I'm some kind of narc. Although, even though the guy that I was talking about that worked for this company got terminated, I don't think he had anything to do with theft in this house. I really don't. He's not like that. He's not that kind of guy. But they wanted me to give them his information, so I had to. And I don't know, it was just a really seriously uncomfortable position. And I'm just thinking, man, I really stick my neck out sometimes to do this job. And so that's one of those examples I could give you. I'll let you go now, but I wanted to give you an example of sometimes shit gets crazy on this job. It's never a dull moment. I think I've said that several times before, but it's not. All right, see you later.